You know, doing Southern Gospel News Podcast has been a blessing and a fun time. I learn something every week when I'm on here, and it's a great thing. Southern Gospel News Podcast has been a blessing to thousands, and without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue to do it every week. MyPillow's one of those sponsors. Mike Lindell and the guys sent me a MyPillow about 4 weeks ago, and they said, before you talk about it, I want you to try it out. They said, you got a money-back guarantee, 100% satisfaction, no problems. You don't like the pillow, Darren, send it back to us. They're even going to ask you when you call MyPillow your T-shirt size. No, they're not going to send you a MyPillow T-shirt, but it helps them in determining what type of pillow you need. They asked me when I got one, did you use a feather pillow or a down pillow? So they want to know what the best is for you. Right now, they've got a great deal on their Premier Pillow, and you can only get it by calling MyPillow today, 1-800-338-2330. 1-800-338-2330. When you're talking to them, enter the code or tell them the code SGNP. SGNP. Or you can always go to the website, mypillow.com, order anything on there, but always use that code SGNP. MyPillow took care of me. They're taking care of you. And thank them for supporting Southern Gospel News Podcast.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darien Southerland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
I mean, just salt of the earth people.
Was he ever with Charles Johnson and the Revivers? That's the next question.
They were just so different than anything that had ever hit gospel music.
And the chainsaw is in the Hall of Fame. And welcome back to SGNP. Darien Southerland here today. Friday edition. Joining me today again is my guest co-host, my buddy from up in Sevierville, Tennessee, Arthur Rice. Arthur, how you doing, my friend?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing good. What's going on with the Kingdom Airs up there at Dollywood? The heat y'all are in the air condition, so the heat ain't ever getting you. But I guess it's getting warmer in the park, so the crowds build because they want to feel that air condition, right?
It's been it's kind of nice. You know, they come in the afternoon, especially, but they're looking for a cool and dark place. You know.
What's just that? This ain't what we're doing the show about today. What we're going to do the show about's a little different, but. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw looking out into the crowd there at Dollywood and them people sitting on the bleachers or the church pews there, whatever, the seats? What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw from the stage? I know it's kind of hard because of the lighting and that sort of thing, but what's some funny things you've saw from just standing there?
It is, you know, in our theater, it is kind of dark, and I got the train coming. I'm outside, and I got the train coming by, so you may hear that just in a second. But
that's okay.
It's, I tell you, especially being, you know, it's a little different in a concert series, especially.
There we go.
All right, here we go.
Live plug for Dollywood, Pete.
Live plug for Dollywood.
There you go.
That's right. It's a little different in a church setting or even a concert setting, but you take a secular theme park, buddy, that ain't no telling what you'll see in here. But
I'll be the first to tell you, my wife went to sleep in there.
We put many of folks to sleep.
She didn't go to sleep from y'all. She was just hot and tired from walking around, and then we got air conditioning, and she just laid her head on my shoulder. I said, "Hey, just lay your head on my lap." And she laid there and went to sleep as y'all were singing, and then was mad when it was over. So,
well, you know, that's what I tell folks, especially in their afternoon program. I tell, most of them got here, they get here early in the morning, and they run around here and there, and they go see shows and go ride rides and maybe get something to eat. And about the afternoon, man, they're looking for somewhere cool and dark to lay down, so they want to take a nap.
That's neat. Hey,
I used to get offended a little bit about that, but it's actually it's kind of a flattering that people can be relaxed in your program enough to and be relaxed with the music enough to kind of go to sleep. So it doesn't bother me anymore. It's just part of it. But
I want to talk about two things today, and one of them we talked about off the air. The second one I want to talk about in just a second, the SGMA Hall of Fame announcements on who's going in this year. I want to talk about that with you for just a second, because that's big news. But first, let me remind everybody to find us. And a lot of people don't know how to find us, Arthur, and they get our emails, they get our Facebook posts, they see us online, somebody will share our stuff with them. Folks, Google, if you've got a Google phone, Google has a new podcast app that was introduced today. If you've got a Google phone, you can go on there, hit the podcast app, hit search out Southern Gospel News Podcast. Real easy. It's not hard to figure out. Southern Gospel News Podcast. We pop up. You hit the subscribe button, and every time we do a show, whether you listen to the show or not, it'll download into your phone for free. We also have a tutorial on our Facebook page, and you can see my wonderful face and hundreds of other stories and fun things we put there on Southern Gospel News Podcast. But if you go to the little, on your iPhone, if you go to the little purple button that says podcast, hit that button, search out Southern Gospel News Podcast, and listen to some of our shows. So we had a great last week on the getting tongue-tied here, Arthur. Every Tuesday for the next couple of weeks when our show comes out, we're doing a series on youth and gospel music. Had a great show last week with Morgan Easter Smith, Jeff and Sherry Easter's daughter, which you've known her probably since the day she came into the world.
Pretty close to it.
You can listen to that. You can listen to Eli Fortner with the McCameys. You can listen to Peg. You can even listen, a lot of folks don't know this, Arthur, and I don't even know if you've heard this. Did you ever hear our interview with Mac Powell with Third Day?
Yeah.
You know what? Mac's got I went to their farewell tour concert the other night at the Fox Theater in Atlanta. Folks, he said he brought his new group out, and it's Mac Powell and Family Reunion. He laughed and said, we're opening for Third Day tonight, which was kind of funny. But if you like gospel music, if you like classic country, and you like a little Johnny Cash and that sort of thing, you're going to love Mac Powell and Family Reunion. So enough of that. And, we know we've all got folks that love it. And let's face it, Arthur, if we like the Eagles, if we like Chicago, if we like the Oak Ridge Boys, you're going to like Third Day. I mean, it's just hard not to.
That's the great thing about our music. It's so versatile that, you can find something that you like, and, music-wise. And the great thing about it is the message is the same. It doesn't matter the style of music, the styling wise. It's all different. We love all different stuff, but the message is exactly the same.
No doubt.
That's what we love about our music.
No doubt. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame real quick. Yeah. And I'll let you announce it since you are the president. Is that your exact title? What's your title for the SGMA?
It is. That is it. President. The guy that carries out the trash, the guy that sweeps the floors. That's it. Yeah.
You're the guy in charge of everything over there at the Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame. So I'll let you announce the list of inductees, and let's just kind of go down the list and talk about each of them a little bit when you announce each of them, and talk about your memories of them, and I'll give you my input from the fans' perspective, and let's go from there. Is that a good idea?
Absolutely.
But first, you know what we got to do before we do that?
Got to do a commercial.
Got to pay a bill. We'll be right back, and we'll announce the SGMA Hall of Fame members. If you don't know who they are, a lot of you are going to know who they are, but if you don't, wait till you hear. It's going to be great right here on Southern Gospel News Podcast.
Hi, I'm Larnell Harris, and you're listening to SGNP.
SGNP is brought to you by Toccoa Falls College in Toccoa Falls, Georgia. More information on TFC, call 706-886-7299 or visit them online at tfc.edu. That's tfc.edu. Since 1907, TFC, glorifying God through seeking and developing leaders who will impact the world for Jesus Christ.
And welcome back to SGNP. Darien Southerland with my co-host today, Arthur Rice. He is not acting as the lead singer for the Kingdom Heirs, which he always is. Anyway, today he is the president of the Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame, and the announcements were made the other day on the Hall of Fame class of 2018. But, Arthur, we're making them kind of verbal today on SGNP and letting the world know about them. And
the press release yesterday came out yesterday, and this is actually the first time I've talked about it since the press release came out. So we're excited to announce the new class of 2018.
What does it? First off, before we talk about the class of 2018, how is there an induction committee? I know you're the president. I know Paul Howell's a member of the committee. Who else is members of the committee that decides who the Hall of Fame, who's going to be inducted, and who's considered, and that sort of thing? People
ask us all the time how that their voice can be heard, how they can nominate somebody, and the way that happens is our partners or members. We called them members forever, but we kind of changed it a few years ago and tried to make them, because they're our partners. That's the people that, it's the $20 a year folks that, you know, they give us $20, and that, you know, without them, we couldn't keep the doors open. Right. So they are our partners that keeping the place open. And each year we send out a nomination ballot, and they get to nominate one living and one deceased. And they can write whoever they want and the description of why they think that they should be inducted, and kind of plead their case if they have somebody in mind. And then we get all those in, and then we tally all those up, and then we have a mathematical form that we go by that kind of fits in, and we take the top, however many it is. Yeah. And then we, as the board members, take those names, and then we kind of go through them and look at the criteria, make sure that everybody that's nominated fits the criteria of being in our music and in a part of our music, and the length of time and that sort of thing, and what they have contributed to our music. It's not really just a matter of whether somebody's a good singer or, has been here for a long time. It has to do with everything. What have they contributed to our music and our industry as a whole, in their whole lifetime, and that all that comes into factor. And so then the board members vote on those, and we narrow it down, which is really, really tough. This year was probably one of the toughest votes to try to narrow it down, and we can only do 2 living and 2 deceased, and the reason for that is just our time restraints during our program, that we just don't have time to do many. We would love to put more in, but with our time restraints, we just don't have time, and so we try to limit it to 2 living and 2 deceased. And so it was a very hard vote this year, but man, we have a great class, and no different, I guess, than a deacon's meeting at a Baptist church, or an elders meeting at a Presbyterian church, or a council meeting at a Methodist church. Everybody's got to vote, and somebody's not going to be happy. But when you get through, y'all pray and say, "Is all hearts and minds cleared?" Everybody says yes, and then they leave and say, "These 4 deserve it." So let's talk about the deserving ones. We'll start off with the folks that have already went on to glory. At least we assume they went on to glory by the life they led. But I shouldn't have said that. But we know they're in glory. If I ain't in glory, I ain't going to make it to glory. How about that, Arthur? But only way any of us can make it by the grace of God.
There you go. Well, let's start off, and and this is in no particular order of votes or anything like that. But you announce the first one.
First deceased is Norman Wilson.
Mr. Norman Wilson.
Norman Wilson with the Primitive Quartet.
Yeah.
If you know Norman, I grew up with Norman, and he was older than I, but I remember him as a kid. I remember their group. I'm from Asheville, and they're from over there in Candler area, and so they were kind of coming on. And when I was a kid, I sang in my dad's quartet, and we'd sing around at different churches and different events with them. And growing up as a kid, I remember them, and I remember Norman. And man, he's the same guy I remember when I was 10 years old that I knew, just a few years ago before he passed away. I mean, he just stayed the same. Just
Norman Wilson with the Primitive Quartet, wonderful man. The Primitive Quartet, has been described to me by so many folks. There's only one Primitive Quartet. Wouldn't you agree?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to ask you some insightful questions on this stuff because that people don't normally get to hear.
Sure.
When they're elected into the Hall of Fame, who makes the phone call to tell the family, congratulations, Mr. Wilson is going to be inducted in class 2018? Who'd you call, or who was the one that made that call?
It kind of depends on, I try to talk to the board members, and if I know of, one of the board members that may have a particular relationship with one of the family members or that individual, mm-hmm. in particularly, I'll kind of, I'd rather kind of stay in the background.
There you go.
And promote somebody else. And so if there's somebody, that I feel like that would mean a lot to them, to give the word, and, I'll kind of give that to someone else, and that sort of thing.
What was the response from the Primitive and all the folks in the Wilson family about Norman?
I actually talked to Norman's wife, Miss Kay, and gave her the word, and let her know that and I knew her. She's just the sweetest little lady. I'm telling you, just that whole family is just great. I mean, just salt of the earth people.
Yeah.
And so, boy, she was just so thrilled. And then, I talked to the Primitive, and they were just so thrilled. The Primitive Quartet have done such a great job promoting our music to not only Southern gospel, but to the bluegrass field and into the country field. And they have such a great outreach, and they have done so much. And Norman has just been such a great advocate of our music and making sure that it's fresh and always great.
What made Norman individually so eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think just being, his longevity with the group and how much the group in itself has done to help promote our music and to take it into the different arenas that that our through their style of Southern gospel bluegrass feel.
Yeah.
They've done such a great the GMA, Gospel Music Association, inducts groups,
right?
And that's into their Hall of Fame. We don't do that. We only induct individuals.
Nice.
And so we kind of look at that because of his history with the group and his history with the promotion of our music and what all the longevity of that has been over the years, and that's what that really is what made him eligible for this award.
I'll give you a little secret. I listen to the Primitive almost every day of my life. I look over at the little Alexa machine and I say, Alexa, play the Primitive Quartet, and there it goes, starts playing the Primitive Quartet, and it's helps me do my work all day long. So congratulations to Mr. Norman and the Primitive Quartet, because it's not only a Hall of Fame for him individually, but his family and the entire Primitive Quartet. I'm going to pull my producer in on this next one right here because it's near and dear to his heart, and they're personal friends of him. And go ahead and announce who it is, Arthur.
Our next one is Tracy Stuffle.
Tracy Stuffle of the Perrys. Tracy just passed away, and very timely. If I would, Arthur, I'm just going to be honest with you on this right here. When Tracy was always fun to me. Okay, I can remember having him. I was leading music at a church up in Beaufort, Georgia, And we brought them in one time. He said, Darren, I'm the guinea pigs, ain't we? Because it's the first time they'd ever had gospel music. I said, yeah, Tracy, you're the guinea pigs. Just do what you do. So he laughed. And but Tracy was just always – I never saw the man when he wasn't cutting up and laughing with somebody. Would you agree? I like when he passed away, Kyla Rowland said all he ever wanted to do from the time he was a little boy was to just sing in a gospel quartet.
Oh, my.
And
I was there the first night of his concert. I was with the Kingsmen back then, and we sang a lot with the Perrys because we were the same booking agency. And I remember his very first night. By the Lord, he was so nervous he could thread a sewing machine that running. But, man, all he wanted to do was sing. And that's from the day one. He wanted to sing. He loved this music and loved being a part of it. And Tracy, just a great guy. Charlie,
I said I was going to pull you in on this one. What's your thoughts on Tracy going into the Hall of Fame? And I know Libby said last night on Facebook she was making some comments that she was excited. I'm sure she shouted around the house and all like Libby does. But what's your thoughts, Charlie?
For some reason, I just had this gut feeling that he would go in this year, and it just warmed my heart. A lot of people don't know this about me. I played for the Perrys before anybody ever knew who the Perrys were. When it was just Randy and Deborah and Libby, I played for them for about 6 months, and just always. And it was off and on. And the funny thing about it is they only had about 1 date a month. So I only played about 6 times. But
I wasn't for a year. I was playing 6 times.
but they've just been lifelong friends. And I remember, Arthur, as you mentioned, their first concert, I saw them maybe a week or so after that. And I walked up to Libby and I said, well, how's the bass singer going? She said, just shut up, don't ask, I don't like him, I'll be glad when he's gone.
That is so funny. They did, man, they hated each other, they fought like cats and dogs. I remember, man, that was so funny. It was so funny, and they ended up together.
And you know what else is kind of funny about all this? I'm sure Mr. George, Libby's daddy, when he got announced, was up there in heaven, and somehow he heard, and he hollered over there to Tracy, boy, come here, they just put you in the Hall of Fame. I can just see here Mr. George saying that. I had more conversations with George back in the day, Charlie, than I had with anybody, because I would be promoting the concerts, and George would always come and say, well, I didn't think nobody would be here tonight. I didn't think it was ice on the ground. I didn't think there was nobody. But George was always a good man. He told me one time he probably lost more money in gospel music than the Perrys will ever make, and that was before he passed away.
I'd say that's probably right.
But congratulations to Tracy and Jared and the entire Perry clan. Tracy Stuffle, not even a blood Perry, but just truly a Perry, is the first Perry to go into the Hall of Fame, and that's kind of cool, ain't it?
Yeah, it really is. Really is.
That's kind of cool. Congratulations.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what that tells? That just shows you of God's faithfulness to people. And if we just stay true to Him, and I was just reading about that this morning in Psalms, how that God just lifts up the righteous, and boy, that just goes to show you His faithfulness.
No doubt. And the chainsaw is in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. People ain't heard that in a while. My son I will say this before we move on with Tracy. My son's 24 years old, works up there in Charlotte. And when Tracy passed away, I called him and we were just talking, and he's not a daily gospel music listener. And I said, he said, what's going on? I said, well, it was the day after we interviewed Libby and did a show with Libby on the air and interviewed her about Tracy's passing. And this back in April, I think around the 15th or so. And I told him when he said, who's that? And I said, I can't remember. And I said, you remember the chainsaw? He said, oh, yeah. So he made a name for himself. God's little people, the tallest one of them all. Tracy Stuffle goes in the Hall of Fame. Go ahead, Arthur. Who was the next inductee into the Hall of Fame?
Our first inductee for the living is Ann Downing. Which has been a long time coming.
Yep.
And Ann's been really close for several years, but this year she went in, and we're excited about that and thrilled for her.
Yes, sir.
Going in.
Yes, sir.
Ann's got a long history in our music,
and still traveling and singing today, is she not?
Yeah.
Charlie, what's some of your best memories of Ann Downing?
Well, growing up in my house, the Spear family records were on the turntable, second only to Wendy Bagwell and the Sunlighters, of course. But I always loved the albums that Miss Ann was on with the Spears. And then, of course, when she met Paul Downing and they married somewhere late 68, early 69, somewhere in there. And she left the Spears and they formed the Downings. Wow, they were just the...
Oh, they were phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, they were just so different than anything that had ever hit gospel music, and still today.
Yeah, I was a little young when she was with the Spears, and so I didn't remember a whole lot. And then of course, when she went, when the Downing started, I was around 9, 10 years old, somewhere around in there, and so it was very, that was very influential time in my music years, but they were good. They were so good.
Awesome. Congratulations, Miss Ann Downing, 2018 Hall of Fame member. Now this next guy, I'm gonna characterize him, and then you can go ahead and introduce him, Arthur. Fair enough.
Okay.
I'm a baseball fan, okay? I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm, number one, a Braves fan, but I'm still going to watch baseball. If anybody goes up to my office, they walk in there and they see baseball memorabilia all over the walls and balls signed by everybody from Reggie Jackson to Joe DiMaggio to Mickey Mantle to, whoever. I've just got them. I just love baseball.
Yeah.
This next guy played for, if we were talking baseball, he played for the equivalent of the New York Yankees when they went to the World Series, the Boston Celtics the Boston Red Sox when they went to the World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers when they went to the World Series, the Chicago Cubs when they went to the World Series, and the Atlanta Braves, and any other team that's ever played in the World Series. He would have been a superstar if he had been a baseball player. Would you not agree?
Yep. Absolutely.
Because he's been with them all. Our next inductee into the 2018 SGMA Hall of Fame is who, Arthur?
Mr. Mark Trammell.
Mark Trammell.
Yep.
Before we tell what groups Mark Trammell has sang with, let's tell what groups he has not sang with, and then that way everybody will know what groups.
That'd be a shorter list, wouldn't it? Well, he was not with the Downing.
He was not with
the Chuck Wagon Gang.
Chuck Wagon. He was not with the Spears. Okay. Was he ever with the Hoppers? I'm sure he sang a song with the Hoppers one time.
Probably.
Was he ever with the McCameys? Charlie, has he ever sang one with Peg?
Oh, he probably did a little duet with On God on the Mountain, and he probably sashayed with Connie Hopper on Shouting Time before, too.
Probably.
Was he ever with Charles Johnson and the Revivers? That's the next question.
I'd buy a ticket to see that.
But amazing thing about Mark, though, if he did sing with him, you couldn't hear him. His blend was so good that if you took his voice away, you knew that there was a hole, but you never really heard him. The man could blend with a chainsaw. I mean, just amazing. He's probably the best baritone singer ever.
You know what? I've heard that. George Jones described him as the greatest quartet man in the history of gospel music.
Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
That's saying a lot.
I mean, when you talk great quartet men, and when we did our lead singers and put the baritone in there, you and I both should have put Mark Trammell in there. I mean, I don't know why we didn't. We just didn't. But anyway, I mean, think about it. He sang with the Kingsmen. Okay. Yep. Let's just do a rundown. Charlie, you're better at this than me. Who was he with first, Charlie? If you can remember, Arthur. Who was Mark with? You remember?
He was with the Senators at one point.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that he sung.
I think he was with the Senators just before.
Right before the Kingsmen.
Just before coming with the Kingsmen, because I think that's how Hamill knew about him. And he wasn't with the Kingsmen long. And actually, he really didn't sing that much. He actually, he played bass for the Kingsmen.
Yeah.
And then when he went with the Cathedrals, that's when, he started singing, really playing and singing both. But that's kind of where his singing career kind of started with them.
Left the Kingsmen and went to Greater Vision. Helped Gerald Wolfe was a co-owner at that time with Greater Vision. Not from the Kingsmen, from the Cathedrals, yeah.
Yeah.
Greater Vision.
Yeah.
Then left there and help I don't want to say reboot or re-energize, but that's what he did. When I call it the second coming of Gold City, helped Jay Parrott and Jonathan Wilburn and Tim Riley build the second coming of Gold City, so to speak, and put them on the map.
Yeah.
So now he's with the Kingsmen.
I say that's a fair way to say that.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah, it really is.
The Kingsmen, one of the greatest groups of all times. Then he was with the Cats, the Cathedrals. Then he was with Greater Vision in the early days. Went to Gold City and helped put them back on the map and done a great job there. Then he started his own group. Then he started his own group. And I always wondered.
He can't work with nobody.
Yeah. And now he does what he wants to.
Yeah.
So, were you able to talk to Mark, or who got to give him the word? You recall?
I did. I was able to call Mark and talk to him, and I kind of set it up with Nick and kind of had them. I've been trying to do lately. I've been trying to do some videos of some of our inductees to kind of capture those moments,
Yeah.
And so I set it up with Nick, and we kind of worked it out to where they were able to be there, and he videoed it for me, and I was able to give him the word. And Mark's been such a great friend over the years, and I love him and love his life and love his ministry, and it's just been true blue through the years, and it was an honor for me to be able to congratulate him.
What was his reaction?
Well, honestly, he was speechless. He really was. I think Marcus is very humble, and I think he was. Marcus is kind of like me. He likes to be in the background. Doesn't really like to stand out and that sort of thing. And he was very. I think he was very taken back that it happened, and just very, very thankful. Very thankful.
Nice. He's got one of the greatest testimonies in of anybody that I've ever met. Talks about, singing gospel music all these years, and then one day was on the golf course and gave his heart to Jesus right there. And if you ever get a chance to listen to that, we'll do it. Well, Arthur, thank you so much for. You know what? We're just going to end the show with this today, if we could, because man, this has been great. I mean, this has been timely. This has been perfect. And we were planning on talking about other things, but
I'm glad it worked out.
It worked out this way, and you know what? I should have been a better Charlie. You and I should have been better producers, and said, you know what? It ain't like we're not good friends with the president of Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame, and couldn't do an induction show. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we should have already had this on the book.
You know what we need to do, Arthur? You know, this would be fun.
Yeah.
Next year. Let's plan out, and this is just a plan. Who knows? Next year, let's plan out calling these folks live on the SGNP and getting their reaction so folks can actually hear it. Would that be good?
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be a great idea.
I like that.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to ask you one thing before we leave, Arthur, and I always ask Charlie this and anybody else we've got on there. One quick question for you. What's wrong with living right anyway?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. Thanks for listening. Hey, remind everybody coming up, and we didn't talk about this much, but today because of this show, thank you Tuscaloosa, Alabama and West Alabama for turning out for the big McCamey's concert at Julio Jones Kia. Got another big concert coming up on Sunday, July the 8th at Carriage Kia in Woodstock, Georgia. A guy that's trying to make a name for himself, Arthur, and I think he's going to do all right in this business before it's all said and done. A gentleman named Jason Crabb's going to be with us.
Oh, fantastic!
Fantastic. So I think a few folks may show up to hear Jason. What do you think?
I think so.
All righty, my man. We'll talk to you soon on SGNP.
Come see what all the smoke is about at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in the heart of the Smokies, Sevierville, Tennessee. Start off with T's loaded tater chips, some great sweet tea. Then have some of his famous fried chicken, a pulled or sliced pork plate, or the best barbecue ribs in the Smokies. And oh, did we mention homemade mac and cheese? And dessert lovers, it's worth the trip just for a piece of cake. Voted the best barbecue in the Smokies, Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill in Sevierville, Tennessee. And remember, gospel music fans, you never know who you'll see while at Tony Gore's Barbecue and Grill. For more information, visit them 24/7 at tonygore.com. SGNP is excited you chose to listen today. If you'd kindly leave a remark and rating in the podcast remarks section, we surely would appreciate it. Please share with a friend or family member. Look for us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new website, SouthernGospelNewsPodcast.com. And remember the Kia Summer Nights concert series, all 100% free, coming to a town near you. For more information on the concert series or to advertise your products, services, concert event, or new project on SGNP and reach a 100% guaranteed number of people in your area, call Tim Newton at 770-874-3200 or email him today, tnewton@bgadgroup.com. Let us geo-target our ads for you, something radio nor magazine can do.